We are less than a week away from this year's World's Strongest Man competition, which means one thing. It's time for Auntie Liz's stats. So as you guys can see, Auntie Liz and myself are ready to step in as reserves if needed at the last minute.
Yeah, but no, seriously though, a big thank you to SBD for reaching out and sending us these tops. Still not completely sold on that colour.
I'm rocking it. I think I'm rocking it.
Yes, I insisted that you wear that one. Anyway, are you ready for some facts and stats?
Let's take a look.
Loves a stat.
Okay, let's get started. So if Mitch Hooper can win his second title this year, it will be the 10th time we've seen back-to-back wins at the World's Strongest Man.
So it will be the 10th time. One man has done it twice. 2 sets of back-to-back wins. Can you name that man?
Mariusz Pudzianowski.
Yeah, very good, Leslie. Well done. Ding. Gold star. And if Tom Stoltman can get on the podium again, which I think we all agree is highly likely, he will then have 5 World's Strongest Man podiums, which equals the likes of Bill Kazma. But the most podiums ever belongs to Brian Shaw and Zydrunas Savickas, who both have 10 each.
10 podiums is pretty crazy. This year we have 11 first-timers competing at the World's Strongest Man, which means we have 19 other athletes that are returning once again.
We also had 11 new athletes competing in the 2022 competition, one of which was last year's champion, Mitchell Hooper.
11 athletes might sound a lot, but in 2005 we had 15 new athletes competing, and that contest brought us the likes of Dave Osland and Terry Hollins.
And what was significant about the 2005 competition?
It was after the IFSA split and there was only 25 athletes competing in the contest.
We also had an influx of 15 new competitors in the 2016 competition, and that was the first year that we saw the likes of Konstantin Janasha, Mateusz Kiliashkovsky, Martin Zlissis and Luke Stoltman.
Lots of impressive new names in that one. And sticking with the number 15, this year we'll have 15 countries represented at the World's Strongest Man.
So 15 countries were also represented in the 2023 and 2022 competitions. 11 were represented in 2021 and only 10 were represented in 2020, obviously our COVID era. But the least representation we've ever seen at the World's Strongest Man was, of course, the first year, 1977, where out of the 8 athletes, 7 represented the USA. What was that one other country?
Italy.
Yes.
And I'm pretty sure he was an American citizen anyway.
Probably technically.
We have a number of experienced athletes coming back this year. Starting with the most experienced athletes, we have Luke Stoltman and Adam Bishop coming back for their 9th appearance. Tom Stoltman and Ivor Schmuckstelis coming back for their 7th. Trey Mitchell and Kevin Ferris coming back for their 6th. And it's going to be the 5th appearance for Rob Kearney, Evan Singleton, Gav Bilton and Bobby Thompson.
So out of the 30 athletes competing this year, only 2 have ever been on the World's Strongest Man podium, and they are Mitch Hooper and Tom Stoltman. So no matter what happens, we are guaranteed at least one new podium finisher at Worlds.
The only athlete competing this year that appeared before 2015 is Raunel Hengler.
Which is weird, because obviously he hasn't done the most competitions. This is only his 3rd.
Yeah, but he's the oldest athlete in the contest.
By far. It will be interesting to see if any of the first-timers this year can win their group, because only 3 have managed it in the last 15 years. They are Martin Zlissis in 2016, Mitchell Hooper in 2022, and most recently last year, Jaco Schoonwinkel in 2023.
I think that fact kind of reiterates when I always say to people, World's Strongest Man is so different to many other competitions. Having that experience at Worlds is very, very important. Now, there are freaks that come in and cope with it, but I have found just watching athletes in the past how much experience helps when it comes to this competition. Andre Foitu is the youngest athlete competing at this year's competition at 22 years old, and he's the first ever athlete to compete at Worlds who was born in the 2000s. The last time a Czech athlete competed at the World's Strongest Man, Andre hadn't even been born, and it was Jaromír Němec in 1998. This makes me feel old.
I know, it makes me feel really old. Well, when we first met him, we worked out that biologically, technically, we could be his parents.
Easily for me.
Very easily for you, less so for me. 50% of last year's official Strongman Games top 10 have made it into this year's World's Strongest Man lineup. They are Marcus Crowder, Wesley Dowinski, Nathan Galtrey, Andre Foitu and Nick Camby. And I think that really proves that OSG is the place to go now.
It is, and I think they have laid it out as the route for anyone that wants to get into the sport. If you are an up-and-coming athlete, OSG is the place to go to if you want to get to World's Strongest Man. Ghana is being represented for the first time ever at the World's Strongest Man, thanks to the charismatic Evans Nana. This is the 5th African country that we've had representation from at the World's Strongest Man. The other 4 are Namibia, Kenya, Nigeria, and of course, South Africa.
Over the course of World's Strongest Man's 46-year history, 47 different countries have been represented, and by far the most represented country is the USA, where 89 athletes have waved the US flag.
USA has to have had the most winners as well.
Yeah, it does, yeah, but we'll get into that.
Atlas Stones will be the last event in the final for the 12th straight year in a row. The last time we didn't see Atlas Stones as the last event was 2012, where they finished with the Power Stairs.
I don't know about you, Lozzie. I like Power Stairs ending. Guys on top, la 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 la. You can hug them as well. They're not covered in tacky.
So what Liz wants is guys on tops and to hug them.
Hugging. So sticking with Atlas stones, this is the 4th year in a row that we're seeing the stone off exactly as it is. So with the 6 stones where they end up passing the final stone back and forth. Now, we've had 15 stone off battles, and in 13 of them, the man who had the second place advantage has always proceeded to the final. The only exceptions were in 2022, Brian Shaw and Gabriel Reum. They were both in 3rd place and overtook the second place person to go into the final.
What about when Novikov was in 2nd ahead of Trey?
So that was a different type of stone off, which we're getting to. So in 2020, the stone off was a battle between 2nd and 3rd place, but it was a standard timed stone run. In 2019, it was called the last man standing, and it was 2nd and 3rd place, passing a stone backwards and forwards to failure. That was when Alexei was 7 points ahead of Trey Mitchell, but lost on the stones. In 2018, 2nd and 3rd place were the only ones to do stones, and again, it was a timed traditional stone run. In 2017, this was probably the oddest. It was when 6th and 5th went up against each other on stones, and then 4th jumped in when someone failed, and then 3rd jumped in, and it was the last man standing. That was an odd one. And then prior to that, 2015 and 16, stones in the groups everyone had to do, and they were worth double points. And then 2014 was the last time we just saw a normal stone run, normal scoring system that everyone had to do.
Let's get back to that.
Oh, I know, I wish. So yeah, 2015-16 with the double points is really where they try to stop first place taking their foot off the gas. It's worth double points, you know, you can't afford to not do it or to just put up one stone. That sometimes wasn't the case, and guys were still able to coast by that point. So yeah, it's fucking...
Conan's wheel is back in the final of World's Strongest Man for the first time in 23 years. The last time we saw this in the final, Sven Karlsson did it and he took a dip in the water afterwards.
For the last 11 years, so this is from 2013 to 2023, 3 different nations have been represented on the World's Strongest Man podium, as you can see from this very grainy old pictures that are currently on the screen. Isn't that interesting though?
So we've had 3 different countries represented on the podium in all of those contests.
In every single one. And it's likely to happen this year, looking at people's predictions. So we could have, you know, Canada, UK, USA possibly, New Zealand. Like, isn't that an interesting stat?
It is, yeah. Especially considering we do get quite a lot of American and British athletes.
Yeah.
Often we used to see like 2 athletes from one nation at least, so that is an interesting one.
And finally, last year when Mitchell Hooper won, Canada became the 11th nation to have a World's Strongest Man title. Currently in the lead is the USA with 12, in second place is Iceland with 9, and in third place is the UK with 7. And that's all I've got this year, Lozzie.
Well, we love your stats, Auntie Liz. I hope everyone watching enjoyed them. There's some interesting ones in there. I'm getting excited for this year's competition. It's going to be a good one. Yes, there are some big names missing. That is disappointing. You know, I was excited when we got the lead up to the Arnolds earlier this year, and we had 5 former World's Strongest Man winners in that competition. We only have 2 former winners of the World's Strongest Man at this year's Worlds. However, you can see from these stats, sometimes when we have a lot of new athletes, it produces new future stars. Who is going to shine? Who's going to get on that podium? And who is going to take the win at this year's Worlds?